A political crisis in the Eastern European country of Georgia is now deepening. A far-right former soccer player has become president. He was the only candidate on the ballot. Demonstrators have gathered outside of Parliament protesting the newly elected leader. For more on this, I want to bring in Sarah Larnuk. She is outside the Parliament right now. Sarah, we'll get to the update from you on how the protesters are reacting in just a moment. But first, what more do we know about the new president?
So the new president, who's a former footballer, doesn't have any political background and was elected by 224 of 300 members of parliament. And the governing party is, of course, the Georgian Dream Party. And the reason there are protesters in the street is not simply because of the election of this president, which is largely a figurehead position. It has more to do with the fact that in October, there were elections that were held that are largely seen here to be fraudulent elections. And then 3 weeks ago, there was a move by the Georgian Dream government away from the European Union towards a more obvious alignment with Russia. And so the election of this president, a footballer, has just been a new event in a string of events that has really angered people here. But in the crowd today, specifically in reference to this president, there were protesters playing football, and also a lot of them had brought out diplomas because he only has a high school education. And so a lot of people brought out their own diplomas as if to prove they are in fact more qualified for this job than he is.
What else are you hearing, Sarah, from people out there?
As I said, in relation to this president, they're calling him a puppet president. They're calling the Georgian Dream a fraudulent government. But their core message really is that they want new elections. This president is kind of just the latest, as I said. However, the current president is pro-European, Salome Zerabishvili. She is actually refusing to step down. And so no one's really clear on what will happen now, because if you have a president that refuses to step down, a new president elected, completely unclear the path forward. And even just in the streets, you hear a lot of confusion about what comes next. People are a little bit afraid of guessing, but these protests are now in their third week. And as you can see, there are people as far as you can see in both directions here in front of Parliament. A few hours ago, it looked like there was going to be a standoff with police. They mounted an enormous presence right here in front of Parliament. And then without incident, they all packed it in and went home. And so this was following that first week of protests where you might have seen some of those videos of attacks in the streets by police brutality against protesters. That happened originally, but in this last week, things have changed and it's been a much more calm setting. And instead, law enforcement has been going after people in their homes, arresting people at home. One man was even arrested while he was taking his dog for a walk. And then they left his dog tied to a tree. So the protests are very dynamic. They're completely grassroots, and they're changing day by day. And this is just the latest chapter here.
Thank you, Sarah. That's journalist Sarah Larnuk in the Georgian capital with the very latest on the situation there.